In the world of television, nothing is truly safe when the show is live. It is in that kind of broadcast that mistakes show up without asking permission, and presenters have to improvise on the spot. Whether it is a fall in the middle of a reporter who gets completely soaked by an airplane, or a host who suddenly finds himself wrestling a crocodile, live slip-ups have already produced scenes that became jokes on the internet and left a lot of people not knowing where to hide their faces. Those are exactly the moments you're going to see today. The show Kuaförüm Sensin in Istanbul, known for transforming the looks of models, was moving along as usual, with sharp scissors, hairspray in the air, and confident hairdressers. But a single wrong move was enough for the situation to go completely off the rails. The professional, a little too excited, decided to cut around 30 centimeters of his model Elida's hair without saying a single word. When she looked at herself in the mirror, the shock was so big that nobody knew what to do. The model started crying and trembling and ended up fainting right there, in front of the cameras during the recording. The host ran to help, and the hairdresser stood still, pale, trying to explain that he wanted to donate the hair to a campaign that helps people with cancer. His intention might even have been good, but he forgot to properly clear it with the owner of the hair. In the studio of the newscast Telediario in Mexico, everything was calm until the presenter Yari Martinez decided to lean back a little more in his chair. That seemingly harmless gesture was all it took for disaster to strike. The piece of furniture, which had looked sturdy, suddenly gave way and sent the journalist straight to the floor, legs in the air, right in the middle of the live newscast. His co-host, Danny Martin, was so startled that she could barely react. While the production tried to hold back their laughter behind the cameras, Yari was already there, trying to get back up, with his microphone still clipped on and the expression of someone who just wanted to disappear from the face of the earth. When the show returned from the break, the presenter appeared in a different chair, laughing at his own fall. He commented that those things are part of live television, and carried on with the program as if nothing had happened, keeping a professional stance. The video spread quickly and became a running joke among viewers. After all, who has never trusted a chair too much and ended up embarrassed? The difference is that this time, it happened in front of all of Mexico, with cameras filming every second of the tumble. During a live report in the Brazilian state of Goiás, a reporter from the Brazilian network Rede Globo ended up facing the kind of moment every television professional dreads: a disaster live and in high definition. The idea was simple: to show the efficiency of a new fire extinguisher model in a simulated fire carried out by the fire department. But the flames decided not to cooperate at all. At first, everything seemed to follow the script. The old extinguisher put out part of the flames, and the reporter kept going, calmly explaining the differences between the models. But when it was time for the modern extinguisher to shine, things literally heated up. Even with the firefighter keeping the spray directly on the burning seat, the fire stubbornly refused to go out.
E aí a gente vê, olha como esse extintor apaga mais rápido, né?
Exatamente, ele é muito eficiente, ele faz ali o combate nas partes de equipamentos elétricos, líquido inflamável e também na parte de revestimento, como a gente pode ver ali.
The reporter, clearly unsure of what to do, tried to hide her embarrassment and continued speaking as if nothing were wrong, keeping a didactic tone. The audience watching live could see very clearly that practice does not always match theory, and that even experienced professionals can go through completely unexpected situations on live television. During a weather forecast in the United States, the presenter Maggie went through such an unusual moment that it became a running gag among her colleagues in the studio and the viewers. She was holding a banana, using the fruit to joke around while talking about the pleasant temperatures that were on the way. Everything was fine until one awkward movement sent the fruit flying.
Look. You should.
I am.
Yeah. Oh!
The banana shot across the set and almost hit another presenter, who narrowly avoided taking a banana hit live. The studio burst into laughter. Maggie tried to continue the forecast, but she could barely speak from laughing so hard, completely disarmed by the situation. Her colleague, still trying to keep a straight face, joked about the moment and said they had better be careful before the fruit turned into a new live sport. During a live broadcast in Harrisburg, in the United States, the reporter Dave Marcheski was focused on his nighttime report when something totally random stole the scene. Behind him, a man who seemed relaxed at the bar decided to enjoy his few seconds of fame in the most unusual way possible. While the journalist was speaking seriously in front of the cameras, the man grabbed a glass vase and, as calmly as can be, started drinking the water inside it. Then he raised the vase toward the camera, as if making a special toast. The gesture, done with total naturalness, gave the footage a touch of comedy that is hard to repeat. The reporter, unaware of what was happening behind his back, kept going with his story, completely oblivious to the improvised show put on by the spontaneous extra. The video ended up circulating across the country, and the anonymous man became a strangely famous figure on local television. On the Brazilian television show Pânico na Band, the comedian Sil Esteves went through a moment that nobody in the studio was expecting. Dressed as her character who imitates actress Tata Werneck, she went to interview Tata herself. The scene, which was supposed to be funny, turned into a truly awkward situation. Tata, visibly annoyed, reminded everyone that the two had already fallen out years earlier because of a lipstick. Things got even more uncomfortable when the actress said, in an irritated tone, that Sil was envious and made up stories about her. Sil tried to keep smiling and stay in character, but you could clearly sense the embarrassment in the air, even from her facial expression.
Não, o Silvio, cá, você tá com uma invejinha, ele tá te fazendo mal, cara. Sério mesmo, vou, porque tá né, num esquema aqui, eu tô num dia super feliz, você tá numa coisa...
Mas eu também estou num dia muito feliz.
Então tá bom.
The interview, which felt like a battle of nerves, ended with the two trading barbs and forced smiles. Sil left without hiding her discomfort, and later said she was rethinking whether she would continue with the impersonation on the show, reflecting on the limits of humor. She also said that humor should be a reason to laugh, not to fight. In the end, their encounter became a hot topic everywhere and turned into one of the most cringe-worthy moments on live television. During an educational segment in Boston, the presenter Steve Burton ended up at the center of a moment nobody expected. The journalist, who usually hosts the sports show Sports Final, had been invited to hold a small crocodile while the handlers explained some facts about the animal. Everything seemed calm until the creature started thrashing around more violently. While the specialist shouted at him to hold on tight, Burton tried to stay calm, but the scene turned into a bit of chaos. The animal writhed, and the host, visibly terrified, could hardly hide the panic in his eyes.
No, hold him tight. Hold him tight. Hold him tight. I am. Hold him tight. I am.
When he finally managed to hand the crocodile back to the handler, he took a deep breath and said his hands were shaking. The studio burst out laughing, but the scare had been very real. The reporter said he had already handled snakes and even a tarantula before, but that crocodile had been much harder to deal with. The audience had a great time watching the situation, and Steve swore he would not be repeating that experience anytime soon. In a report about potholes scattered around the city streets, a reporter ended up starring in a scene that was, at the very least, unusual. Wearing a short dress, considered inappropriate for that kind of show, she spoke about the holes in the city streets, trying to keep a serious tone. At a certain point, she decided to get closer to one of the potholes to show its depth in more detail. But when she bent down, things completely got out of control. The journalist lost her balance, fell, and her dress rode up far more than television would comfortably allow. Visibly embarrassed, she quickly got up, trying to regain her composure and continue with the story. The episode sparked a lot of comments among viewers, who also talked quite a bit about the outfit, considered not very appropriate for that kind of news coverage. On the show Pura Vida, the Spanish singer Diango showed that professionalism can also lead to good laughs. Sitting right on the edge of a bench, the artist was singing, fully focused on his performance. Everything was going smoothly until the piece of furniture suddenly tipped toward the side where he was leaning. In a few seconds, Diango lost his balance and fell to the floor, but he did not let go of the microphone or lose the rhythm of the song. The scene was the kind that startles you and makes you burst out laughing. The singer tried to catch himself with one hand and even let out a cry for help. The funny thing is that even while falling, he kept on singing without going off key for a single second. The host of the show ran over to help him, and he was already laughing at his own spill. Despite the fright, he walked away unhurt and even earned applause for the way he handled it. On a lively morning on the show Venga la Alegría, the Mexican presenter Tania Rincon ended up going through a moment nobody saw coming. The game seemed harmless enough. She and her colleagues Patricio Borghetti, Ingrid Coronado, and Ricardo Casares were spinning around in a circle, laughing and trying to keep their balance in front of the cameras. But one slightly faster turn was all it took for everything to fall apart. Tania was flung away with force and fell far from the group, leaving her colleagues speechless for a few seconds, in shock. Soon after, she stood up laughing at her own fall. Luckily, she was not hurt, just left with her pride a bit bruised and her hair a complete mess. After the scare, the video of the tumble went viral on social networks. Tania took it all in stride and even joked that she would think twice before agreeing to those kinds of games again. In the end, it became a big laugh and were one more example of how live television loves to surprise people. During an edition of the midday newscast, Jornal do Almoço on Rede Globo's affiliate in the Brazilian state of Rio Grande do Sul, the journalist Cristina Ranzolin went through the kind of moment no one wants to experience live. While she was talking about public security reports and the payments promised by Governor Eduardo Leite, the unexpected happened. Her tablet simply slipped from her hands and crashed onto the desk with a loud noise.
O governador prometeu até o final do ano pagar todo mundo em dia. Será que vai conseguir? Vamos aguardar. Opa!
Christina tried to keep going, but ended up letting out a nervous laugh and warned that the computer, or rather the tablet, had decided to abandon the newscast. Her attempt to cover up the embarrassment turned into a funny little moment, the kind only live television can provide. In the middle of the sports show, Los Humildes, broadcast by the channel Marca 90 in Ecuador, what was supposed to be just another talk about soccer turned into a general scare. The hosts were in the studio discussing the performance of a local team when the floor started shaking. It was an earthquake of magnitude 7, and the whole studio swayed as if it were made of paper. In the first few seconds, the hosts still tried to keep it together and asked viewers to stay calm. But that effort did not last long. Alfredo Borbor soon jumped out of his chair and took off running, followed by China Velos and Washo Sanchez, who were trying to find the exit while the set creaked.
Dios mío. No importa, no importa. Tranquilo, ya pasó. Diosito lindo. Cambio de clima, tranquilidad, tranquilidad.
The production hurried to put the show's logo on the screen, but the audio stayed on, and the public heard everything, including the panicked shouts. Meanwhile, Roberto Bonifant chose to remain at the desk, trying to stay in control and asking for the show to return, even with the studio shaking all around him. It seemed like he could not quite believe it was all really happening. The episode turned into a mix of fear, confusion, and stubbornness, showing that keeping calm is not always easy when the ground literally shakes under your feet. The night in Minneapolis, in the state of Minnesota, seemed perfect for a lighthearted story about ice skating. The reporter Roscoe was excited, talking about the weather and showing the rink live. But the wind, which she herself had mentioned was strong, ended up becoming the villain of the story. While she was explaining the details of the report, Roscoe started sliding backward, trying to stay balanced on the slick ice. In a few seconds, she lost control and fell face first to the ground, right in front of the camera, without time to react.
Okay, ow.
Even with her mouth throbbing, the reporter got up, straightened her coat, and said she was fine, or at least tried to look like she was. Later, she said she had to put ice on her lips because of the swelling that remained after the fall. The studio of the network NBC in Miami was having a quiet morning until a four-legged visitor decided to show up uninvited. King, an American bulldog only 1 year old, walked onto the set during the weather forecast and left meteorologist Ryan Phillips completely at a loss. While the forecaster was talking about the post-Thanksgiving temperatures, the puppy crossed the set and jumped right up onto the desk. Phillips tried to keep going as if nothing had happened, but ended up laughing when he saw the excited dog trying to lick his face during the broadcast. The technical team did not know whether to cut away or let the new presenter keep stealing the show. Things got so funny that the video spread quickly, with viewers saying King seemed more excited and spontaneous than the meteorologist himself. In the end, King earned fame, laughter, and maybe even an imaginary contract, since very few managed to steal the spotlight on television with that much natural charm. The Croatian reporter thought it would just be another hot day on the job. She was standing with a microphone in hand, describing the spread of the flames that were taking over the coast of Dalmatia in Croatia. Behind her, the sky was filled with smoke and the constant roar of airplanes trying to control the fire. Everything seemed under control until one of them hit the wrong target. While she was explaining the situation, a firefighting plane flew right over her and dumped a heavy rain of water directly on her head. The blast of water was so strong that the impact drowned out even the noise of the engines. In seconds, the reporter was completely soaked, with her hair plastered to her face and her microphone dripping. The colleagues back in the studio tried not to laugh, and those watching could hardly believe the scene they were seeing live. Don't forget to subscribe so you can watch more videos like this.